to this edition of NT Prep Preview. I'm sports editor Kevin Klum along with Jared Bell. Chris Yukas is inactive for today's episode due to a illness.
Should be back next week though. Hopefully he'll be recovered in time.
Well, in this episode of Prep Preview, we're going to talk first about bowling. We had the big Cavalier Classic this weekend, and Jared was there, so he'll tell you about that.
Yeah, it was quite the exciting day for our area teams, and a lot of individual kids performed well. We all kind of sold the show. They had a female champion, they had the male champion, and then their girls team also took the team title. The only title they didn't take was the boys team title, and they were third in that, so they were pretty good. But Hall's David McManus had, what Bob Stubler, who is the LP coach, one of the LP coaches, and the owner, one of the co-owners of the Super Bowl, called, a fantastic series, and one that not even the professionals themselves were had. He had, but I think it was like a 1450 series. He was just shy of an 800 series in the second series. They bowled 6 games, first 3 series, and then the second 3. So he almost bowled an 800 series, which for a high school kid is incredible. He completely rolled past the competition, pun very much intended, and he won by over 100 pins. Also, you had Caitlin Paget, who is a junior at Hall. She was equally as impressive. She beat LP's Jess Temple, who was second, by nearly 100 pins. She wasn't actually too far off from David McManus's average, about maybe 20 or 30 pins, which for a girl to average over 200 pins is really good. Like I said, she really came on. And the Hall girls also had a very close team race, as they only beat LP by, I believe, 19 pins, which is the first time in the third year of the event. Because keep in mind, too, we've only had bowling in the area for about 4 or 5 years, so it's the third time in the Cavalier Classic history that the first time that the LP girls haven't won, so it was a big day for Hall.
Yeah, the Cavalier Classic is a nice event because all the local teams are there, so we get to see them, and it's a local event, so that's nice. But now, on the basketball, a lot of boys basketball teams are having a good start to the season. LP has a winning record, undefeated in the conference. St. Bede's also having a nice season. They're at their Kimoni this week. Putnam County has bounced back a little bit after they started off with a losing record. They had 2 big wins over the weekend. Who else is doing pretty good, Jared?
Well, it's interesting because we have a lot of teams that are off to really good starts. So like you said, you have LP, St. Bede, Hall, or St. Bede, Putnam County. You also have Fieldcrest, you have Henry, who's really good. BV is really good, so hopefully a lot of these teams can keep it up. It obviously will get tougher as you go along, especially at this week's Kimoni Classic, where a lot of those teams will face each other. So it'll be interesting to kind of see the hierarchy of how that plays out. But so far, a lot of our boys basketball teams, maybe over half of the area, have had a really good start. And they're more than just a couple games over 500. We're talking maybe 3 or 4 games over 500, where you played maybe 7 or 8 games, which is about a third or so of your season.
And the girls' basketball not quite as good in the area so far. There's only a handful of teams that are having a good start. Mendoza's off to a really strong start. They've been really dominating some teams, especially the local teams. Fieldcrest is playing well, and Ottawa has a pretty good start to the season as well. They're 2-0 in the conference.
Well, and keep in mind too, Putnam County got the number 1 seed. Mendota had the number 1 seed at the Lady Bruin Christmas Classic, which is very impressive considering they have 4 sophomores that start and a senior. You don't expect a team that young to do that well, but they've done really well so far, and you expect that they would only get better playing in the big Northern Conference West Division, which is a very strong basketball conference. You also have Putnam County, who's off to a great start. They seem to have somebody step up every night. Sometimes it's Danielle Pavlovich, sometimes it's Carly Gannett, sometimes it's somebody else I can't think of right now, Stephanie Wilson. So that's great. And same with Fieldcrest. Fieldcrest is having a great season. You expect them to do well at the Lady Bruin, but just like Mendota, they might not be as good in a conference because they're in a really tough basketball conference, but still, hopefully they will be able to maybe finish in the top third and have a great season and be able to translate that into the postseason.
Putnam County is another young team. They have no seniors on the whole roster. So. Anyways, now it's time for everybody's favorite segment of the show, NT Prep Preview, Powerhouse Players.
Roll that tape, touchdown.
Powerhouse players of the week.
Powerhouse players of the week.
Powerhouse Players of the Week. How's that?
See, Chris got into the show somehow, right? So he's still here in spirit. But our first powerhouse player is Hall bowler David McManus. We mentioned him earlier. He had a great series. At the Cavalier Classic, he won the boys tournament with a 257 average per game, and including the 300th game or 300 game that he bowled in, I believe it was the fourth game of the six. Really can't ask for much more than that. He had an all-around great day.
Now we'll go to girls basketball for our next powerhouse player. It's Brittany Zawacki from LaSalle, Peru. She's been a sharpshooter this season. She's really on fire from downtown. She had 15 in a loss at Dunlap on Tuesday, but then she led the team to a win at Streeter on Friday with 21 points, and I believe she hit 3 or 4 three-pointers in that game.
Zawacki has a very famous older brother, and Brett Zawacki, who's an LP graduate and a professional baseball player. So he's a very athletic family for those two. And speaking of younger siblings, Harold Fay, who's a junior at Putnam County, had a really good week. He's also the younger brother of Carlton Fay, a professional basketball player, and Kevin Fay, who was a great basketball player for the Panthers. Last week for PC, Harold Fay had 20 points in a win Friday at Peoria Christian, which was a big conference win. Because a lot of people thought Peoria Christian would be the favorite in the conference, so to beat them there and to get that tiebreaker, maybe puts them a game or two ahead in the conference race. And then he also followed it up on Saturday with a great win at IBC. He had 18 points, including the game-winning shot. Other people have described it as over the backboard, kind of a horse rainbow shot with about 6 seconds to go. It was a very big win at IBC for Putnam County, who started off kind of slow at the Weathersfield tournament, but has really kind of come on the last couple of games.
That's it for this week's edition of NT Prep Preview. Join us next week when we'll be talking about all the holiday tournaments. Starts on Saturday with the Ottawa Girls Holiday Tournament. You also have the Lady Bruin, Pekin,
Plano,
Marcel's,
State Farm. You also have Princeville,
Prophetstown,
Amboy,
Erie.
We got them all.
I think that pretty much covers it, but we'll talk all about it next week, so come back at
www.newstrib.com/sports.
Was that a good Christmas?
I don't know.
We'll see.
Tweet us. Let us know.